Yo, what's up, guys? This is Sad Magic Fan 1234. This is actually take four, kind of funny. I decided to make a video about all the basketball news that I had missed out talking about after my small break from YouTube. Answer the question of why I took a small break. I really had a ton of school to worry about. I fell behind in one of my classes and just really had to put in a ton of work to get the grade back up. And I just want to say I hope it doesn't come off as being an asshole, but school will always be my number one priority. YouTube comes second at all times, and that's just all I wanted to get out there. Let's get right into the video. So we'll start off big and go to the biggest piece of news that's happened in basketball, and that is the John Wall and the Russell Westbrook trade. John Wall for Russell Westbrook. A lot of people are saying the Rockets took an L, so we're gonna take both sides of the opinion. We're gonna go from someone who we're gonna give reasons why the Rockets lost the trade and reasons why the Rockets could have won the trade. The Rockets winning the trade is a big what if, but we'll get to that. We'll start off reasons that the Rockets probably lost this trade. Number one, I forgot John Wall even was this dude. I forgot he was even a person. This dude has not touched the court for 2 years. Like, and he looked like dude. My dude looked like he was like 40, bro. If you've seen pictures of this man, like during before near the end of the season when he cut his hair again, bro, it looked pretty rough. But just John Wall before he left was a 20-9 guy, but the real argument that could be used here is John Wall relied on athleticism. And I guess you could say, well, he did have a high basketball IQ, so that could be written off. But we all know John Wall was known for his speed and just overall, he was like probably just similar to Russell Westbrook, like a top three athletic point guard. When before he was injured. And this was despite injuries that he faced many injuries during his career. The Achilles rupture was not just it, but yeah. So I could see John Wall not being nearly as effective due to the fact of his less athleticism and less speed due to the Achilles rupture, because that's something that really affects your ability to laterally. And John Wall, people are forgetting about how elite of a defender he was. Um, I think he got snubbed once or twice from all defensive team. If I'm correct, he's only made one in his career. But doesn't take away the fact that he was nowhere near a liability on defense. If he would actually help you on defense, because of just like his overall hustle and his speed. Like, how are you gonna get past a dude who's literally like the borderline Sonic? Um, so if he can't play defense as well and he can't get to the basket as well, that will probably affect his field goal percentage and his overall points per game. So if we go by the logic that Achilles rupture really does affect his athleticism and he can't come back, not even if he can't come back, not even 90% of what he was, like probably like 50 to 70%, 70% at the highest. I can see him only averaging, like, this is still elite point guard, all like potential all-star, depending on how the team's doing and how he affects the team on his defensive end. If he somehow is able to keep that, I could see him potentially averaging 15 to 17 points, still averaging 9 to 10 assists, and being a liability on defense due to the fact of just how hard it is to move laterally on when you face an Achilles rupture. So that, if you guys don't know, it is really tough, because James Harden, yes, I understand he's not a liability on defense. That's an old thing. He's actually a pretty average defender. We can all say this. We can all agree that he is not elite by the closest. He's still only an average defender. And if your point guard is a liability on defense and your shooting guard ain't the greatest defender, that could lead to some issues on the defensive end. And if they start DeMarcus Cousins, we all knew even before the injury, DeMarcus Cousins wasn't great on defense. He was a liability, damn near a liability on defense. So you need to also keep that into the mind. And we saw where the Blazers when the Blazers had a soup. It looked like their lineup looked insane. They had Damian Lillard, but the reason they were even struggling to make the playoffs in the first place was because of their lack of defense. And I could see that being a huge problem for the Rockets. It doesn't matter how much offense they produce; it depends on the defense. And also, when you think about the fact of how would Wall fit with James Harden. Because when you think about it, John Wall, and I know we're all, I know you can probably think of this as a fact that like Russell Westbrook and James Harden are able to work. Yes, but you can tell James Harden did not like that. Um, James Harden did not like playing Russell Westbrook, and honestly, that is why I'm here. I'm here to tell you, I 100% believe that Russell Westbrook is not going to work nearly as well with Harden as John Wall is. I see John Wall being amazing with James Harden due to the fact that he kind of gives me a more athletic Chris Paul vibes. Great, a really nice mid-range shooter. Can get Chris Paul was more finesse around the rim, nice floaters, good layup, like pretty. Like he used skill to get to the rim. John Wall used athleticism. That's why I said more athletic. Great elite playmaker. Obviously, we all know Chris Paul's like top 5 playmaker of all time. Way better than John Wall. But basically, what I'm trying to say is you cannot tell me it doesn't get. I've watched this guy play, and it gives me like a more athletic Chris Paul vibes because of the way he's able to affect the court. Um, just by standing there, it's kind of like how Gordon Hayward, like before, I know he's sold in the playoffs, but Gordon Hayward's lockdown D and just overall his presence on the court. Sometimes just if you're that great, if you produce a ton of offense, your presence on the court can be enough to elevate a team's winning percentage. And with just his unselfishness and the way he loves to run the court, I could see if somehow they can convince Harden to start playing fucking off ball, which apparently he won't want to do, but I hope he can. And this is even freaking questioning if Harden's gonna stay. I see them just trade the man. I want him to win a ring, and you're just delaying the fact that he will leave you guys at free agency. Okay, and he will not win a ring if you don't trade this guy. Because if you keep the guy, you might not even win a ring. Because if your star player doesn't want to be there, you can't win a championship like that. You would have to 100% convince him that this team is a championship team. And even if so, I don't even know if Harden would like to stay there. I think he wants to go to a team that's already contending. We're gonna get into a potential James Harden trade later. We'll get to that later, but we're talking about the John Wall right now. John Wall, yeah, and due to the fact of how unselfish he is, and we already know there's a ton of chemistry on the Rockets team because him and Boogie played in college, and they've been wanting to play together for so long. Of course, it would have been amazing to see them play together back at 2017, because like that's when DeMarcus Cousins was one of the most all-around centers I've ever seen. He could shoot the three, he could dribble the ball, and he was obviously he was at his best going to the rim using his overall size. And while he even made the joke one time, he can't jump for shit. His dunks were just ferocious due to the fact of how this dude was pissed off all the fucking time, bro. Like it was always like this dude like woke up on the wrong side of the bed every single night. Like it was insane. But moving on from there, I was just going on, trying to get the video to 10 minutes, even though this video is probably going to be 20 minutes if we keep going at the pace we're going, so I'm going to try and speed things up a little. So I feel like that's about all we can say on the John Wall side. We're going to move over to the Russell Westbrook side and talk about what Russell Westbrook could do for the Washington Wizards. Russell Westbrook, in my opinion, will be a great fit with Bradley Beal if it plays out how I think it can. I think Russell Westbrook can work well with a good score and a ball dominant score. He showed that when he played with Paul George. He showed that when he played with Kevin Durant. He showed that when he played with James Harden. Like you do not automatically go from a superstar to a role player if you play with a high ass usage rate. That's a terrible ass myth. And we all know Russell Westbrook isn't it. Despite I know he's a score first point guard, and we're not going to take that away from him. He's like one of the biggest shoot first guys I've ever seen. Like this dude takes the dumbest fucking shots I've ever seen in my life. But keep in mind, he's still an elite passer. How did he average 10 assists if he's not an elite passer? I don't care what you say stat padding. You still got to get those 10 assists. And he may have led the league in turnovers with, I mean, you may not say, oh, he had 5 turnovers per game. That's not pretty. Who is he going to pass to that MVP season? The way he was, the fact that he was able to average 10 assists on that team is just incredible. So, Bradley Beal averaging 30. I feel like with Russell Westbrook, his averages probably will go down to obviously the high, easily 26 points at least. You know, regular amount of rebounds. You know, pretty good rebounds for him, and overall just pretty good assist amount due to the fact that he won't always have the ball in his hands. I feel like it could be like just like Paul George and Russell Westbrook, or James Harden and Russell Westbrook. They could just take turns handling the ball on some possessions, but just they also got to make sure they don't get because we see in Houston that spamming ISOs will not win a championship. So they got to realize that they can't just run an ISO with Beal or Westbrook every single possession, and I don't think they'll do that because they have great weapons. Danny Avdija, they got, and honestly, I cannot imagine. I cannot tell you guys how shocked I was when he dropped to number 9 in the draft. I honestly thought he was going number 4 to the Chicago Bulls, but you know what the Chicago Bulls did. You know, Patrick Williams, I believe in him. I wish him the best of luck in Chicago. Prove all the haters wrong, but god damn, when I heard Patrick Williams, my first thought wasn't, oh, let's see if he's good. My first thought was, who is this? Bro, that was the only thing I was wondering. Who the hell is this? But, you know, that's a whole nother video right there. Danny Avdija is going to be great. Luka Doncic said he was the greatest player he's ever played against at his age. At his age specifically, I'm pretty sure he was talking about when he was 16. Luka was 16, and he was against Danny Avdija at 16. Sorry if I'm botching his name. I'm very tired while making this video. So moving on from there, and they have who is probably one of the most, in my opinion, underrated centers in the league, and Thomas Bryant. I think he made like over 100 threes on 40%, like over 44% shooting. Like, those are just unreal numbers for a center. I know in the league we're playing today, shooting centers are not rare, but to see one do it that efficiently on that amount of attempts, I don't think he attempts that. I think he attempts like pretty meek, like 4 to 5 threes, which is still a lot. For a center, it's just spectacular to see the way he could just stretch the floor. I know the Rockets would love to have a guy like him still play 5 out even with a center, but that's beside the point. So where do I see the Wizards going? I want 100% see them making the playoffs, and this is a little bit scary from a Magic fan's perspective, because they're making the 8th or 7th seed, and the Wizards, as long as they're here, with how competitive the Eastern Conference is getting, I could see the Wizards making the 5th, at the very lowest the 8th seed, because of their defensive problems. I can see them potentially only making the 8th seed, but I guarantee see them making the playoffs. And my greatest fears, I can tell you this now. I know this has nothing to do with the video. I am not confident. I cannot tell you. I am 100% sure Orlando is making the playoffs. And that's something I haven't wanted to say, but the only bright side to this is we'll find, you know. And when I think about this, I always like to look at the bright side of things as a fan of the Magic. And I guess the bright side you can look at this is 2021 is stacked. It is stacked. The top 7 guys in the 2021 draft would have gone number 1 in the 2020 draft. I can't cite the source. I forgot what the source I got that from, so it might be false. But it also might, if that's true, that God, I hope, that happens. We get a high pick in the draft, because even if we do bad for one season, if we can get a top 7 pick, that Like, I'm rather sure once our team starts losing, unless we go on another one of those 20-game winning streaks, our team's just going to be like, yeah, we're going to suck this year, you know, and just try to go for that draft pick. If we can get some good-ass player from this draft, that's going to be amazing. Unless Cole Anthony and the other people break out. But, yes, that's it about the Wizards and the John on both sides from what Westbrook could do with the Wizards and what John Wall could do with the Rockets. I got about 5 minutes left of recording here, gameplay here to talk about. So in these 5 minutes, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to talk shortly and briefly about just overall basketball news. You know, I'm going to call this ramble time because I just like think about something I want to ramble about, and I'll just ramble about it. I want to start off James Harden, you know, a good trade there. And we're going to talk about James Harden trade, you know, why the hell not? There are a few trades in mind. The Nets trade, which I don't think makes sense. Because I don't think the Rockets should take this. I don't care if Harden says he wants to go to Brooklyn. Don't. That's not enough for James Harden. I think that the main offer is Karis LeVert, Jared Allen. I think it's Spencer Dinwiddie, like five first round picks. Tell me if I'm freaking anyone, but that is not enough for James Harden. But a trade that I do feel is probably the most realistic trade, and the trade that I think will go down for James Harden is the 76ers trading Ben Simmons for James Harden. I know you can say, oh, they might trade, James Harden for Joel Embiid, but honestly, I don't think the Rockets want Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is just like is older. I mean, obviously he's not old. He's not even he hasn't his prime yet, but he's still injury prone, so his prime is probably going to be short if he keeps on the pace that he's at and doesn't lose weight. And Ben Simmons just overall has like one of the highest point guard ceilings in the NBA. Like his ceiling, in my opinion, is just as high as like a Ja Morant ceiling or a Trae Young ceiling. Just because of the potential. What if he gets that three ball up? I see him being unstoppable. But also at the same time, the chance of getting that three ball up, I rather fucking low. But I got hope in him. So anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you for tuning in. This is Sad Magic Fan 1234, and I'll see you on the next video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and see you later.